I have never thought that I would actually do this, but today's your lucky day. In this video, you're going to get to see a glimpse of what a private coaching session inside of the Training Arc Society looks like. Now, for obvious reasons, I can't give away the entire recording, but make sure that you guys hit that subscribe button and drop a like so that you never miss out on more value. There's a big difference between defaulting and playing for picks, but it's kind of gotten normalized into becoming the same thing because even though there's a difference in how you go about it, the objective of playing for picks kind of just happens when you're defaulting, even though the objective of defaulting is not necessarily to play for picks. So let me break that down. Defaulting in of itself is pretty simple. The entire goal is to get space on the map, as much space as you can possibly claim on the map, as much information as you can possibly claim on the map using whatever util you want to use. Ideally, we don't want to use all of our utils, so maybe, let's just say, for example, we want to claim space in B main, right? We can have a Skydog. A Skydog go in, goes in, clears all the space. Now we can go ahead and scale up, and what have we done? We've now claimed this space, right? Now that we've claimed this space, does that mean that we're done? No. Now we're going to look at the other sides of the map. Maybe we have Clove, maybe we have Reyna. What happens? Well, ideally you want someone else with you, but it's fine. Let's say we have Reyna here. We can go ahead and get a flash going. Okay, let's see. Boom, flash out. Reyna skills up, Clove skills up. And now what we're doing is we're also claiming this A main space. Now, what we're doing here is we're claiming space because we want to, number one, have information ourselves on where the defenders are set up, who's set up on A. Like, okay, let's say that while we're skilling up, we take some contact with like a breach flash. Maybe a breach flashes through this box here, right? And so we're skilling up, and we're like, okay, breach is set up on A. Good information to know. And then on B side, maybe we hear a cipher trip here. Okay, cipher trips here. Good information to know. So what we're doing is we're not only taking space, but we're also gaining information off of this space that we're taking. And this is going to kind of tie into what I'm about to talk about in a second. But I guess first off, does anybody have any questions? The goal right now isn't for us to be like, okay, we're looking for picks. We're just looking for space. Okay, let's see if we can take space elbow now, right? It doesn't matter. Trying to take space earlier into the round, that's the whole point of defaulting. So we're fighting for the space. We get another flash from the Reyna if we need to. We scale up, and now we're just kind of chilling here because we've taken this space and we're waiting for the defenders to make a mistake. It's as simple as that. You've taken space on the map. Nice, we've taken space on the map here. Now let's say that one of the enemy players decides to swing out. He swings out, we're both holding the line, and boom, free kill for us. The reason why this works, by the way, is because I want you to understand that from the enemy's perspective, if we were to switch this to defense, right? Let's say that you're an enemy. Let's say that you are ISO, okay? You're ISO. You hear Reyna flash happen A main. You hear another Reyna flash happen A main. You're thinking, okay, it's going to be A. Let's say that you are, let's go to Senti here. Let's say that you're Cypher, okay? You hear a Skydog B main. And you hear multiple footsteps taking space B main. You think it's going to be B. So now what's happening is from the enemy player's perspective, you guys are split up, you guys are spread out, right? And they don't know what to do. They don't know if they should be rotating over to B. They don't know if they should be rotating over to A. They don't know if they should be even taking space down mid. Maybe Whaley showed some presence mid, right? Or typically you're going to have a default smoke. Like for example, you could default smoke top mid. If you want to, let me see, where is he? So you could default smoke top mid like this, or you could even smoke off the cross like this. It doesn't matter. This is kind of dependent on like what you guys did in the prior rounds. So like for example, I'm gonna kind of touch on this a little bit later, but if you guys abused mid in the prior rounds, you want to continue to make it look like you're going to go mid, you can smoke like this for the default smoke. So now they also have to worry about space here and you guys taking space here because you guys have abused this before. So just the entire point here is that you're trying to take space and you're trying to, number two, confuse the enemies. So not only are you trying to gain information yourself on who's here and who's set up on these sites, but you're also trying to confuse the enemies. They don't know what to do. They don't know if they should go A. They don't know if they should go B. They heard two people here. They heard two people here. There's a player mid. So at this point, most teams would be like, okay, well, it's either a fake or they're defaulting. But remember, in ranked, they think defaulting means playing for picks, right? So now that we've kind of did step 1 of defaulting, which is gaining information, right? And then step 2, waiting to see if any of the enemy players make a mistake. Right here, let's just say, for example, ISO peeked out and boom, he's taken out just like that, right? Boom, taken out just like that. Now, at this point here, we have to ask ourselves a question. The question goes straight to, where is this spike? Okay, where is the spike at this point? Because we're up numbers, and here's the problem that a lot of players make, and they don't really think about this too much, because it's not a bad play, but it's really dependent on the scenario. So for example, we just killed the ISO, right? So we know that there's one less player on A site. Okay, now most teams, what are they gonna do? They're just gonna be like, okay, let's take A site fast, let's take A site fast, right? The problem is that this decision right here, whether you want to take A site space fast and call your team to go back to you, is completely dependent on the information that you've gathered in the prior rounds. So let me give an example. Let's say that the rounds leading up to the round that you guys decided to run a default, let's say that it was ISO and Phoenix playing on the A site. I'm just going to say random, right? So there was only 2 players playing on the A site that you've seen in the prior rounds. In this type of scenario, it makes logical sense that if you remove 1 player from the equation, 2 players can overwhelm 1 player, right? That makes logical sense. However, let's say that in the prior rounds, we know that, okay, there's ISO, Phoenix, and let's say there's 1 more player playing here. Cypher, for example, I'm just putting a random one. If we know there's going to be 3 players on this site, and we've only taken out 1, does it make logical sense for our 2 players to take 50-50 fights against another 2 stack when we could just regroup with our team and play together, just play together with these guys and find a different avenue to hit? So this is where the thought process gets a little bit deeper than ranked, because most players in ranked, what do? The moment they get a pick, what do? Instantly hit the site. Okay, we killed the ISO, cool. Everyone run it down B, run it down A. I mean, to be fair, a lot of times the lower elo, they don't even do that. They don't even do that much because they don't realize that that actually makes sense to do in a lot of scenarios. But you want to take it one step further. It's not a bad play to be like, okay, we got a kill leading towards the A side of the map. Let's hit A, but it has to be dependent on what information you guys recall from the prior rounds. Because again, if there is more than 3, or if there's 3 players on a site, you only removed 1 of them. There is no point in these 2 players taking a 2 versus 2 on this site when you guys could be like, okay, you know, there's gonna be 2 more players on A probably. Let's just recoup. Let's just regroup. You know, let's go back. Let's regroup mid. Maybe we can all regroup mid. Maybe at this point here, Waylay has a lot of space up here at this point. So it's like, okay, maybe we could split B now. So we can just all link up here. Maybe we can split B, right? Maybe we have 1 Sage lurking main. So doing things like this is so powerful in a default. You see what happened with the Sage here. I'm gonna point this out too. What we just did here is we just left Sage here, which is called an insert. Okay, and inserts are very common in defaults. Very common, because when you default, you have so much space on the map. Notice once again, because we were defaulting, we had all of this A main space, right? We had all of this B main space, and we had all of this mid space. We essentially controlled the narrative at this point, and that's kind of the goal with defaulting. That's why I kind of pointed out, in order to even gain mid space, you kind of have to throw these smokes down here or here, here or here, right? Whatever the case may be, you want to have ways and actually use utility to gain space on the map. And then once you've gained that space, then you wait for a mistake. Once someone makes a mistake, let's say you get a pick, then you regroup with your team if the odds of you guys winning on this site are low. So let me give another example here, right? Let's say that if we were to go back to our A scenario, let's say that there is 2 players holding down the A side, Phoenix and Cypher, let's just say for example, right? But let's say that during our default, we had only Reyna go up A, only Reyna went A, not anybody else, and he killed the Phoenix, right? Does it make logical sense for this Reyna to take the 1 versus 1, a 50-50 duel against this Cypher? Or should he just get this pick and then back up to his team And then from there, they can decide what they want to do with the numbers advantage that they have, right? So it's always good to think about this. Like, okay, from the prior information that we have, is it worth hitting this site just because we got a pick? Does that mean that we need to flood in? Or does that mean that we can regroup, play numbers, and just secure the round,